Hello and welcome to our special AI edition of Standard Room with Breakfast. At SiteMinder, we process more than 125 million reservations each year. We realized that our number one room type was Standard Room, and the number one extra that guests add was breakfast, hence the name Standard Room with Breakfast. I'd like to introduce our guest for today, Howard Phung from HPAI Consulting. Howard has over 20 years of experience in hotel technology and innovation with some of the world's biggest brands. Now, his focus is helping accommodation businesses harness the full potential of AI. We will be breaking up our conversation here into 3 different chapters, starting with the evolution of hotel technology. How did we get to where we are today? And what does AI transformation actually look like for hotels? Welcome to the podcast, Howard.
Thank you, David. It's great to be here.
So you witnessed so much about the industry transform many times over at this point. How have you seen the role of technology evolve across the last few decades? And what are the major shifts in the hotel tech stack that kind of stand out to you?
When we look back at 20 years ago, it was really watching the industry grow up. Technology was more of a utility. If you look at systems like POS, PMSs, they were there just to keep the lights on for the hotels. It was very reactive, operational, and honestly, it was a bit disconnected from a technology standpoint. But if you fast forward today, the technology has shifted its course to a core hotel strategy. Like it's no longer just about operational support. It's about driving guest experiences, driving revenue growth, and being competitive around the different competitors, brands. The move from legacy to full cloud and API first was quite a game changer for the groups globally. If we look back, it took many months to deploy a traditional PMS. Now you can deploy it in a matter of days or weeks, depending on the complexity. It's something that's shifted the whole
And
environment.
I'm sure that was not an easy journey, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've been right in the midst of it. So like with so much change and so many changes hotels had to go through, what were some of the biggest kind of or more consistent challenges hotels were facing here?
Despite all the innovation, there's a few challenges that really didn't really go away. It just came in new type of forms. One big problem was integration with technology, right? Like we struggle with trying to put systems to talk to each other. You look at the amount of systems, if you look at the PMS, this the central reservation system, the channel system, the CRM systems, it was all collecting bits of data, but it didn't always connect to be useful. It was quite disparated. So it was a consistent challenge that we're seeing back then and now. The turn of lack of also the digital skill sets in the industry with COVID disruption was quite significant for the brands. So getting the teams up to speed was a huge issue, and it was a huge investment for a lot of the groups. And finally, I think the data quality remains a huge issue, right? Trying to trust your data, trying to do real-time insights was quite difficult.
And I mean, obviously, you're now working on some of the potentially biggest game changer, right?
Yeah,
AI has now become your core focus of your consultancy work.
that's it.
Why is that?
It's been quite fascinating to watch AI grow from theory to actual real world impact. A few years ago, it was mostly around automation, chatbots, basic recommendation sort of things. But what really shifted the thinking was with Gen AI came and machine learning applied to real hospitality problems. That one pivotal moment for me was when I launched the Gen AI task force. We saw a double-digit increase in productivity across various departments like finance and HR. They were certainly just using the tool to really enhance, to remove repetitive tasks, eliminate manual reconciliation, creating content like standard operating procedures in a matter of seconds. Typically, these things could take you hours and weeks, and just augmenting your staff with this technology was a true game changer. And that's how I saw this technology becoming something that will transform how our industry operates going forward.
What were some of the key tools that you have been introducing, for example, that proved to be a game changer? I mean, obviously they'll change a lot over time. Like I think every new week there's another model, there's another amazing thing happening that I'm playing around with, that we at SiteMinder play around with. But obviously the last year has been crazy. Like, tell us a little bit more about that.
The first tool that was quite secure I saw from an enterprise environment was Microsoft's Copilot. It's by embedding your generative AI capability across your entire work productivity tool, enabled you to have a kind of like a 360 view on how everything goes. So you can just simply quiz your Copilot, say, can you summarize all my meeting notes for the meeting I had for the last 3 follow-up sessions, but for this particular topic, it would do it in a matter of seconds. So things like that, it eliminated that type of transactional, very admin-based work that traditionally, if you look at a executive, they require an executive assistant to really consolidate that thing. It would take them days and weeks to consolidate that type of content. Now with Gen AI, it's contextualizing your entire productivity and just bringing it to the forefront into a chat capability. Probably the second game-changing capability is the ability to dissect data and provide patterns recognition, and just providing that capability, like that natural language processing technology in front of the data, and helping infuse it into provide some really strategic insights. So one project we used was Power BI, and infusing into Copilot, you can really quiz. It's just basically just showing revenue data and your budget forecast there, but you can really ask some really very complex questions for it to solve in real time, and that was quite a game changing tool for the corporate environment.
Yeah, I agree. I think when we started to provide the large language models with the tooling around doing analysis, it just changed everything. Right? I mean, before, not that long ago, these LLMs couldn't tell you how many hours there are on Strawberry, and now they can crunch like serious, complex, difficult analytics. So, digging a little deeper into what AI is to you and how it works, what are the key components that AI needs to deliver to provide value for those that are working with it, in particular in the hospitality sector?
That's a great question, because there's a lot of people that get tripped up in AI from experience and talking to a lot of executives and even IT leaders. AI isn't a magic. It's only as good as the foundation you give it. So, for example, for AI to deliver real value, it needs core ingredients, and those ingredients is that it comes with good data, a clear use case, and responsible implementation. First, data is everything. If your systems don't talk to each other, data will become inconsistent, and AI will amplify the mess that you have. So before anything occurs, you need to clean the data, make sure it's connected, make sure the source is secure, most importantly, because you don't want to cause a data breach. The second element what you would need to be is solving real world business problems. Too many people just start with the tech, which is wrong, rather than the pain point. So what is costing your business time? What's costing your people the most friction in most importantly your guests? And that's where AI can become a game changer for your business. And lastly, there's a number of human layers where it requires a lot of governance. It needs training, it needs a clear framework. And AI isn't out there to replace human beings, it's about to empowering them. But only if you roll out with a very thoughtful and very secure and inclusive type of approach. That's kind of how you can really get into the nitty gritty and really build some real ROI in terms of AI.
Yeah, I like your focus on that, the transformation really needs to include and empower the people, the change minute component. And we see that I think every company is seeing that you have to make sure that you have like, incredibly valuable people with like all of that knowledge, subject matter experts. They need to be brought onto the journey in order to make use of the tools, right? So it can't be just fully top down. And that change management is something that I think all industries are struggling with, like how to really bring people on and require expertise and support, outside support and consultancies and all of that to really make that work. In terms of as the adoption that we're driving is starting to accelerate. Certainly, we see that in 2025 things are becoming a lot more mature, and there's a lot more that we learn through experimentation. What are the practical applications that are proving most valuable across the key hotel roles, specifically front desk teams, revenue managers, general managers? How are they using the tools? How should they be using the tools? How will they be using the tools? What are the kind of guidelines and things that you recommend for that implementation?
We're seeing AI make a difference across the board. So from guest-facing roles to corporate teams. So at the front desk, for example, AI is it's really helping the operational staff with routine communication. So pre-arrival emails, upsell offers, FAQs, chatbots that really automates that type of key information what a guest needs before they arrive, and message automation that free up staff to focus on the in-person service, so not admin. So we're seeing a rise, and it's really, we're in terms of if you look at where the VC funding going, it's going a lot of that AI automation is going to that particular tech stack there. For revenue managers context, it's all about benefiting our tools to analyze real world and real time market trends. So competitive pricing, most importantly, the demand signals that drives the rates, and automating suggesting rate changes or forecasting the outcome. So it's no longer just about data analysis for revenue managers. It's about strategic decision support with all the new capability that's come on board. So I've worked with quite a few revenue management tools, and the amount of data that comes through from your digital website, conversion rates to rate inventory. Now you're looking at very vast amount of demand signals, such as flight data, event data like the Tay effect, so those type of things. As for general managers, AI is driving smarter dashboards. It's pulling together a lot of insights that traditionally you get from spreadsheets and PowerPoints, right? It's coming in, it's servicing all the performance issues in real time, gets feedback trends, so you can actually respond to them quite quickly. That's quite amazing how quickly you can respond to a guest complaint on the day. And probably where I think the efficiency for general managers is labor efficiency. Like the only thing sometimes you can't control, the revenue, and so you want to control your costs when it comes during a downturn. So labor efficiency, automation, and is phenomenal. Like there's clear payback. Imagine you could see forecasts that you're earning 50% less revenue on that single day. You can kind of having that labor efficiency automation can recommend you to say, why don't you scale down those casual staff on that day for your restaurant, because you're not going to make as much money on a Monday versus Friday for a peak period. In terms of implementation, my biggest tip first is start small with intention. Pick one use case. Clearly, it has to be measurable, with aligned with team goals. Like you have to really bring the whole team together, so they've got some KPIs that make sure this technology is going to bring value for them, and that way it can bring quick wins. As you involve the team early, you train them how to use the AI tool such as Copilot, and really just infuse it. It's not a replacement. It's there for you to augment your capability, and what that does is it builds trust and momentum.
Talk me through one of the experiments that you were running, maybe if you can. Like, I'd just like to see it like a more like how do you actually go about it?
First, let's say we bring in a like-minded, very ambitious team of people who we do that for a survey, how you would use the technology. So we kind of look for those really very innovative mindsets, not afraid to take a little bit of risk, but equally know how to provide that practicality in their day to day. So one typical example is we're looking to scale a team for this was a talent acquisition team, and one of their biggest gripes is the amount of volume. Running a hotel group of two full-time staff and trying to manage inquiries for hiring for like let's say 1,000 plus workforce. Like how do you manage that much information? And it's very very repetitive. So we realized, okay, 80% of your time is taken by responding to emails. Why don't we infuse all those answers into a generative AI capability, into a chatbot? So the first point of call is for you to talk to the chatbot. If that's not good enough, why don't we convert the talent acquisition team into a digital avatar for a video L&D class? So we're using generative AI. You can generate some really impressive. You can record yourself for 10 minutes, and you can generate some really really interesting content. Some people don't like to read, so you can kind of present it in a video. Hey, this is how you hire. This is where you go to, and that kind of caters for a different type of generational, appetite for different employees. Not everyone learns
Yeah.
quite differently.
Yeah, there's so many experimentations that you can run here. But one thing I think we all coming to, like, especially coming out of 2024, where we ran a lot of pilots and proof of concepts and so on. Like now that you know what works, like how do you advise hotels to kind of take the next step and scale what works?
People don't really trust new technology from my experience. So I try to mold them in a way that they can choose a use case themselves, so they can build trust. A lot of executives feel that because of the amount of noise that's occurring externally, you've got PhD professors that telling everyone agent of AI doesn't work for hotels at a large conference. So they come in that mindset and they're quite skeptical. So what I like to do is I like to try to map out their pain points and try to find from my experience, the most highest rate of success, and help them come to a use case where they can see some value. From there, the trust is built, and then they can scale from there.
Perfect. So, talking about misconceptions, like what are the biggest misconceptions about AI and that you find yourself kind of debunking with the photos and the different roles?
There are quite a few I can think of, but one big one that I would say is everyone thinks AI solves everything instantly. Right? It's some kind of set and forget solution, and the truth is that the data isn't in the shape of your processes. It's not clear. Then AI amplifies that noise, and that's the issue I've been seeing. Another one is the fear that AI will replace people. I've seen time and time again that AI just removes repetitive tasks, low value tasks, most importantly. So a team can spend more time on high impact work and just such as guest experience and critical decision making. I also hear people say we're too small to use AI, but honestly, AI is so accessible than more than ever. You can start using the tools we already have in day-to-day tools that's already infused with generative AI, right? Like Microsoft Copilot, ChatGPT, AI built into your BI dashboard. If you use any type of dashboarding technology nowadays, generative AI is already infused in there. It's all about how to turn it on and how to leverage that capability. So the key is starting from the right mindset, I would say. AI isn't about replacing hospitality. It's about powering it, enhancing it, and freeing up your team to do what they do best.